So why we are here, right? We are here to demonstrate how you can create and grow a profitable property portfolio. And the reason why we focus on growth, because sometimes you start with 1 or 2, maybe 3 if you are lucky. But a lot of people tend to stall at that. I once attended an event, like a property investment, I think it was a private property. And one of the speakers actually did an exercise. He said, everybody's hands go up, right? So we all put our hands up. And then he says, everybody, yeah, let's do that, right? Everybody, okay, let's do it. Everybody's hands go up, okay? Okay, everybody with at least 1 property, put your hand down. Okay, 2, 3. Oh no, it is the other way around, sorry guys. So if you've got 0 properties, we all put our hands up. If you've got more than 1, if you've got at least 1, put your hand up.
Oh,
yeah, 1, 2.
Keep
your hand up. Keep your hand up. If you've got 2, put your hand up. Keep your hand up. Okay, let's start again. 1 property, hands up. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right? So by the time we got to 4, 5, it's got lesser and lesser and lesser. You saw how we all started at 0? Then we're at 1, there were still a lot of hands up, maybe it's your primary home. Then 2, maybe it's your primary residence and at least 1 rental. Then a few more people are primary residence and 2. But beyond 3, it's very rare, right? It's very rare that a lot of people get beyond 3. And it's because they miss the foundational building blocks that allow you to go beyond just 1, 2, or 3. So that's why we want to not just start, but we also want to grow and scale, right? So that you can create lasting wealth. That's the other thing. We want to create properties. We want to invest in properties that are going to allow us to not only enjoy the benefits in our lifetime, but also pass it on to future generations, right? We don't want to leave our children with debt. We don't want to overextend ourselves with properties that don't make any money, because that will frustrate us and will result in us actually quitting, right?
With most black people, you don't find beyond 4 properties.
Yeah.
And you think, yeah, the banks won't give you more. That's the limitation. We think the banks won't give us more because no one shares the secrets of how to get to 5 and 16 and 100 actually, yeah? And if you don't walk away here knowing that you can own 100 properties, we will have failed you, yeah? So it's very, very important, because that's all we know, because nobody shares the secrets of where to find the money to do 100. 90% of people that have created wealth, 90% have property in their portfolio somewhere. And when we say they have property in their portfolio somewhere, we don't mean sometimes physical property, but they have property somewhere in their portfolio because something about property has got a way of appreciating in a certain way. And some of you in the room have only been told about, you'll never go wrong with property. It appreciates. And that English of appreciates totally irritates me, because it's not every property that appreciates. And sometimes you buy the property when it has passed its appreciation time. When by the time you buy it, you're going to wait for another 20 years for it to at least edge a little higher and a little higher, and probably it has reached its maximum. So the ones that you buy from the developers today, know that the appreciation is gone. It's past its appreciation. If you're going to get any appreciation, in another 5 years it will appreciate maybe 400, 500 rands sometimes, not even thousands. You are just buying a booby trap that's gonna stay there. Give you an example. If you are buying Go Naturela, let's say, right? Go Naturela. Go Naturela, when you buy or next to Southgate or Midrand, let's just talk about Midrand. Have you seen how many townhouses are there? Midrand has reached Somebody who's selling you a townhouse, yeah, 780,000, guys. Forget about appreciation now. It has reached where it is going, especially highly townhouse, right? So what do we mean by that? It's okay, maybe it's a good investment. The rentals, if you're going to get a rental, yeah, in 7,000, maybe 6,900, it's not gonna go anywhere. It's not going to go anywhere. Mid-rent has reached its maximum. The people who made money are the developers. They mint it. They mint it for sure. They built for something like 280,000, sell it to you at 750,000, and then you buy 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's it. And then you only get tenants that give you 6,900, and the rent looks at you like this. Year 1, year 2, year 16. It's not going anywhere. Not the renter, not the building. When you try and sell, because you've met Sli and Miranda, you're trying to sell. You bought it for 780,000. You find it sells for 780,000. Appreciation? Zero. So absolutely, it's developing a lot. And because maybe those developers find money and they're going to find a sucker somewhere. They're going to find a sucker like Miranda, and Miranda is going to buy that property. But don't worry, sit on it, it's going to appreciate. No, guys. Someone who bought in 2018 got 700,000. Today, when they are trying to sell that townhouse, it's still 700,000, if they are lucky. Because as it gets older, these people, these younger ones, when they rent, they are looking for the glossier and the shiniest one. They jump to the newest one. They jump to the newest one. You are stuck. Don't buy it. Don't buy it, Hope. I know you. They are going to sell it to you and it's glossy. And we like clean places. Remember, your rental property, you are not going to stay in it. Come down with the glossy, guys. Come down. Okay.
Right, so it's all about the gift that keeps giving if you know how, right? If you know how, it really can be the gift that just keeps giving. All right, so why does it matter, right, that you invest in property, right? So the one thing that a lot of us misunderstand is that you think when you've got a particular income that you are wealthy. And a lot of us tend to want to make that wealth visible to the outside world. So how do we do that? We do that by staying in the most expensive house that you can afford. If the bank tells you you qualify for $1 million, best believe you're gonna buy a house for R1 million. If the bank says you qualify for 5 million, best believe you're gonna buy a house for R5 million. And also, not only that, also when you want to buy a car, you're gonna buy the best one you can afford. Sometimes we even structure these things. They've got these agility finance things. They give it fancy names, which just entraps you because now you want to drive the Mercedes-Benz, the latest one. They're like, no, you can't afford, but we can make a plan for you. You know, that plan might be a balloon payment or whatever. Because we want that external validation of wealth. We want people to see that we are successful. So we use our income and a lot of it to try and create that illusion of wealth as much as we can. Whether that represents itself in the way we dress, where we live, what car we drive, what food we eat, where our children go to school. We want others to say, wow, you know, that's what we believe is wealth. But wealth does not necessarily mean that. Being a high income earner doesn't mean that. It means that you've got assets that even if you are unable to work for whatever reason, you know that you've got an income. You know that if anything happens to you, your children are taken care of. You don't have, sometimes you, in a job that you absolutely hate, it's frustrating you, it's taking the life out of you, but you have no choice. You have to go and work because it's the only income you've got. When we're doing the Mentimeter, we're talking about financial freedom. So financial freedom is not that you don't work. That's the misconception. Financial freedom is doing the job you love because you want to, not because you have to. You're not relying on that income. Yes, it's nice. I'm not going to lie. Don't quit your job, guys. We're not promoting that at all. but when you go there, When your boss is just giving you, you're like, okay, all right. you know that you don't need the job. You know that it's something I'm passionate about. Maybe Miranda's a doctor, that hours are long and it's miserable, but you're like, I'm making a difference. She's not doing it because she has to, you know? So that is the real meaning of financial freedom, right?
Let me talk about transferable.
Okay, so we're gonna get to that now. So it's not just about what the income that you earn, it's about how you spend that income and what you do with it.
You're right. So transferability is important that we talk about it because for me at least, it's important. All of you have already assumed get Dr. Ulrich. It's a blessing and a curse to have the MPCHB, let me tell you, especially in the black community. There's such a misunderstanding. Remember, I come from a single parent home. I become a doctor, so you all assumed I have lots of money. And if I spend all of my income on fancy house, fancy car, and no savings and no investment, I'm gonna walk and work until I'm 77, until I'm walking like this, because I have to be refinancing this lifestyle. Yeah, it has to continue. Now, let me get your name. Maria. Na Maria go VW, bamfonela every year. But your car is old. Remember the last car? It's 12 years old. I'm like, but it's still driving. It's a good car. Yeah, and at 200,000 on the clock. Yeah, no, but you know the Tiger. Have you tried the T-Cross at least? But you know it costs you a lot of money. And. But no one is telling you how you're gonna pay it back. And if I die now, my daughter is not going to inherit the MPCHB. I need to leave her something that's going to carry her to university and beyond. So our degrees are not transferable, guys. When we have got the good salary, it's great while we are still alive. What we do with that salary is what Sli is talking about. So what do I do so that the people that I leave behind have got something to drink and eat, and at the least drink and eat, but at the most drink and eat exactly what they were drinking and eating while I was still alive. Non-transferable things is what we buy as black people. Can we not? Yeah? Can we not? So that's what transfer. So property is transferable. I can leave them something here, whether they sell it or they continue with the rental or they do something about it, and it is an asset that they can say, can I borrow some more to buy another property? It's transferable. The degree is not transferable. Don't be stuck with things like that. If I have got a GLE Mercedes outside and debt, it's R1 million. And then they have debt. And then when my estate is wound up, and did I say don't have the GLE? No, you're gonna have the GLE. Buy the property first, generate money first, have the business first, and the business must buy the GLE, and you stay here. And if you die, the business, estate, and everything gets paid over there. The kids are left with something. You're never gonna leave them those cars. They age. Okay. So please don't get me wrong. You wanted GTI. I can just see you. I can just see you, right? Ne? GLA 200. Ne? Those ones. Ne? So when you can stay renting. You can stay renting, and let's get into property, and the property business must buy you the GTI. And I'm saying you can, you will, you shall, and you will. Okay?
Yeah.
Cool. Cash flow.
All right. I think this is some of the other things. It's about cash flow, I think, which you've already mentioned, that you don't want to be buying a property that is draining money out of your pocket. You want it to put money in your pocket. That's when it becomes a real asset. As we said, it appreciates in value over time, but that must not be the only reason why you invest in property. It must be one of the many benefits. It can't be, oh, it's going to appreciate, then you're like, okay, sign me up. there must be more than that, right? It's tangible. Properties are, like they're like this. You can see it, you can touch it, unlike some of other asset classes, and also it's got a lot of tax benefits. So let's start with, I think we've already started mentioning some of the common mistakes that property investors make, and Miranda's going to take us through this section.
So the common mistakes that we all have done, Titus.
Titus is one of our mentees.
Titus. Titus, let's be honest, you and I, we bought our first properties in our names, right?
Yeah.
We did. Yeah. Titus was in cohort 2 of the Khumo Wealth Academy, and we emphasize and re-emphasize. And guess what Titus is doing? He's collecting the information and then recollecting it. And the reason why we even ended up on YouTube is we see that you ask the same question a million times, but it's important. You're collecting knowledge. And once you have knowledge, no one can tackle you and tell you things that don't matter. So we buy properties in our own name. If I buy 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, now by the time I got to 3, I couldn't get to number 4. And you think you are stuck. That's what happens. Because when they look at you at the bank, they're like, yeah, no, your salary is great. Yeah. But Shem, you have that 1, that 2, that 3, and the car, and the school, and we can't afford to give you any more money. And we all think that's the end. Because we went to traditional 4 banks. Okay, so we're going to tell you how to do. So it limits the number of properties you can accumulate, and then you wonder why Van der Merwe has got a building and a shopping mall and a cemetery and a piece of land right? Buying in your personal name, you can't own those like that, because the piece of land where Sentin is built is probably 60 million by now, or 100 million. But you wonder, Bona, why do they get that here, 100 million, when I can't get it? Maria, you can have that here, 100 million. Believe it. When? What you say, So, and the other thing is, so when you've made a mistake with this property, and you want to get out of it, you can set up another company here and another company here. And when I want to buy with Slindile, our 2 companies can buy the company together. Sentin City is not owned by one person or by one company. It is owned by several trusts, and including Sasol Pension Fund. My pension, Yako Sasol, is at Sentin City, and it's at Cradlestone Mall, right? So that's what they do. That's why you must own a company. And you, I forgot to ask you your name. Samantha. Samantha, you can own 3, 6, 10 companies. Did you know that?
Yes.
Yes, you can register SEM 1, SEM Prop 2, SEM Prop 3, SEM Prop. The other one does nails, the other one does heads, the other one does property. Yeah? Believe it. That's the other thing we grew up not knowing that it's possible, right? So you can accumulate debt, you can get out of one company, you can invest with other people, you can invest as 3 people, as long as you structure it right. You will hear this word over and over today. You have to structure right, and you have to. When you are self-reliant in buying property, so what we do is, okay, now I've brought 1 property commit-rent, 780,000. Now I must save again. You save. 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. You want to buy property number 3. You are self-reliant. You're never gonna expand, not at the speed that you could if you were in a company, you borrowed differently. That's one of the other mistakes that we make. We think the only person that can buy a property, I'm the only one and I must save. And then now you have to be the frugal that I was talking about. Save. And you're like, how do other people get a building of 6 million. You'll never get there. Not at the speed that we get there, because you are self-reliant. When you walk out the store, you need to know how it is done. All right. So those are the common mistakes we have found. So, and personal financial setbacks means, we can't go on holiday. Next year, yeah. And yeah, I can't change my car. I don't change my car because I don't want to. Don't tell me, this guy is driving Moss. It's fine, right? So I'm not changing my car because I want to, and I've got a bigger goal. And who says, maybe I want to buy a Maserati. Yeah, maybe that's what I'm waiting for. So, so I'm just showing you how ridiculous you can get once you know what to do in property investing. You just watch them and you're like, but we've got a new M4 and whatever. And you're like, when is the next M4 coming? I want that one. So you are, and you can stand there very confidently. You don't argue with them, and you know your goals, which is what Sli is gonna cover right now. So that's what new investors done, including myself, including Slindile, because that's the other thing. For us to stand here, we're not standing here in perfection. We are standing here in the mistakes that we do. Don't make them. When you're not gonna make them. Okay.
Quick announcement before we continue the video. The first 6-week cohort of Khumo Wealth Academy's 2026 mentorship program has kicked off in March 2026. If you have not registered for the mentorship and would still like to join, this is your final chance to do so. To learn more about what the mentorship entails, follow the link in the description. Doors are closing this week, so if you don't make it into this cohort, sign up to our mailing list to ensure you are the first to be informed when the announcement for our next cohort takes place. Back to the video.
So I think the important thing is to just be intentional about what we want, right? Because when you are intentional, your path becomes clearer. You know that I want to create wealth. I know that I want to leave something for my children. You know that I want to enjoy the job that I'm doing and not do it because I have to. I want to be able to afford a certain lifestyle for me and my family. I want to be able to go on a holiday. I want to send my children to a particular school. I want to be able to do this. These are my hobbies. And those hobbies can be expensive, right? Some people are involved in very expensive hobbies. So, but this is the lifestyle that I want to be able to be charitable. That's another thing. Some people want to donate to good causes, to church. They want to tithe. The more I earn, the more I can give. You want to be able to donate for whatever you are passionate about. So that if that is your goal, that is going to focus you in terms of what do I need to do and what is the level of effort I need to put. But if you're just cruising, you just, I'll see when I see it. You don't have a clear goal of what you want to achieve. You're not going to be as disciplined and have the necessary drive to achieve that. So that's the first thing that you need to cement is your goal. What is it that you want? When they were saying to Maria she's going to have a debt of 100 million, she was like, 100 million? Me today, I was actually having a meeting with our banker to get an overdraft for one of our other companies. And he says to me, hey, Slindile, you're borrowing a lot of money nowadays. I'm like, yes, how, Miranda? Why are you worried? I haven't borrowed $1 billion yet. How? Going to put 100,000, God, it's a lot of money. God, I haven't yet borrowed $1 billion. So relax. 100,000, 100,000. I'm like, no, dude, I'm only asking for 100,000. Come on, you know. You must be worried and start asking for $1 billion. For now, relax. You know. So that's the level of thinking that you must think. I mean, there are lots of companies that owe billions of rands. So why can't you? Because as long as you are using it for the right reasons, you know. So that starts with your goal, right? Then the second thing is that's going to determine your strategy. If your goal is, I just want to buy one property, maybe then a 1-bedroom, go mid-rent or go north riding or whatever, and then I leave it to one of my children, then already you are downscaling. You know what strategy you're going to have because your goal is just to have one property. Or maybe I just want to pay off the one that I've got. So you see that your goal will then lead into your strategy because now you're saying, I only just want to have one small property, maybe for one of my children or for all of them to share. that's then your strategy. Already you are limiting your thinking into the types of things you're going to get into. But if I'm saying my goal is to have a R1 billion portfolio, automatically that changes my strategy. I can't be looking at 1 bedroom, bachelor flats. I can't be thinking like that if that's the goal. You see how the goal then feeds into your strategy? It means that I must buy the kinds of properties that are going to get me to that goal of having a R1 billion property portfolio, right? So it means I'm going to be looking at your certain cities, buying a big piece of land and doing a development there. It means I'm going to be looking at shopping centers. I'm going to be looking at hospitals. I'm going to be looking at that level because that's what my goal is, right? And if your goal is, you know what, for me, I don't want to stress myself with all these commercial things, but I want to be comfortable. I want to have my income. Let's say, for example, you're earning 20,000 Rand a month. I want that to come in from my property business. So that and I just look at it, I'm like, but I just made it here, and I didn't have to do much, and I'm getting the same amount of money. That's also a goal, and it's very much achievable, if that's what you want. You say, I just want to be able to break even and earn money from my property business that I'm earning from my income. I want to earn more than that. I want to do this and this. That feeds into the types of properties you're going to buy, the strategy you are going to use, because you can't be then buying properties that still need you to support it with an extra 1,000 or 2,000. When are you going to get to that point, right? Which then feeds into the area. The area is very important because if you are saying, for example, you want to buy, let's assume you've chosen that your strategy are flats and, right? The area that you're going to then choose is going to be very important as well. We've already mentioned these densely populated areas are problematic, where there's a lot of buildings that come up and they're putting, 100 units at a time. Where you see these Bolwin developments where they like a lot of them. So you now need to look at, okay, if this is my strategy, where can I invest and how can I invest so that I'm still able to make money? Maybe Midrand is not the one for you, but then which other areas can work for that particular strategy as an example, right? And then which then feeds into the property that you buy. So the property is determined on the area, the strategy, and your goal. And we go into this a lot in the mentorship around what strategies are, the areas, how to identify an area, whether this is a type A, B, C, or D, and then how that actually then impacts the strategy, because not all areas are created equal. You will find that, for example, in, let's take Pretoria. You've got Sunnyside, you've got Pretoria North, you've got the East, you've got Pretoria West, you've got the townships, Atteridgeville, Soshanguve, Mabopane. They're not all the same, there's Hammanskraal. They're not all the same, but they are within the same city, right? So you need to be able to say, okay, if my strategy, I want cash flowing properties, I want to do low, like affordable rentals, where am I gonna do it? Am I gonna do it at Menlyn Main or Menlyn or Linwood? Is it gonna be in Sunnyside? Is going to be in the townships? Where? So you see how these things fit together, right? And then you now need to then narrow down in terms of which property you're going to buy within that particular area. Yeah. And all of this is surrounded by structures. I think we've already mentioned this. How you set your structures up is going to be very, very important because there's so many benefits with making sure that you structure your things properly. The reason why, when we lift our hands, the higher we go in terms of the number of properties, the less and less people get is because of this one fundamental thing. Mostly it's structures. That's the one thing that's holding a lot of people back. So if you get that right, then you are on the right track. Now let's talk about where to find investment properties. So when we asked you guys to fill in a survey, and we said, what would you like to know? One of the most popular questions was where to find investment properties, right? And I think that's important because ultimately, all the other things that we mentioned earlier, until you actually, the last thing is the property. That's what sets you apart from a wannabe to actually being a property investor. Until you sign that offer to purchase, until you take transfer and own it, all along is you are just a wannabe, you are attending seminars, you are watching YouTube, you are watching TikTok. What puts road to the rubber to the road is when you take occupation. So you need to find that property. So where do we find it? All right. So there are two forms or two primary sources of listed properties, right? So the one is where it's listed, like the agents will, or the sheriff will list this property. So everybody knows that this property is for sale. It's out in the public, right? And everybody knows they can find it. Some of the popular ones are Property 24, etc., etc. And also our sponsor, which is AdProp, actually recently started a platform as well for listing properties. You can actually scan the QR code and have a look at some of that. So really, that is when the properties are on the market and you can go and have a look at the properties, choose the area that you want, put in the filters that you want, the price range, whatever it is. That is what we call the listed. There's also sheriff websites that you can go and have a look at. There's also agent-specific websites. Like most of the agencies will have their own websites, right? Where you can also go and look at properties. So that's listed. But what's less known is the unlisted. These are the properties that are not on the market. So this is where you find the real gold. When you find the real gold, when that seller has not yet decided to sell, and you get to them before. Because by the time the agents get there, they've already filled your mind as a seller. For example, my flat in Midrand that I also bought many years ago, I wanted to sell it. I was like, I'm tired of this thing. It's a money drain. I want to get rid of it. And I was like, you know what? If I just get 500,000, I'm fine. You know, this was many years ago. So I speak to the agent. I'm like, okay, agent, I want to sell. So she asked me, how much do you want? I'm like, hey, me, just give me 500,000. I'm happy. Then she's like, no, but this property now is what, 650, wada. You can list it for 650. I'm like, really? 650 it is. You know what I mean? So whereas, imagine if a buyer had come to me when I still wanted to sell for 500,000. Before the agents got to me and convinced me to list at a higher price. Then now all of a sudden, Cindy, there's a property that you've got, so would you be willing to sell it to me? Me, I would have signed with Lesedi 500,000 and Lesedi would have been sitting on what we call equity 150,000, which is the market value of the property versus what he would have bought it for. And already that sets you off on a good path because now you're sitting on cream, 150,000. So this is what we mean when we talk about unlisted sources, right? These are the properties that are not yet on the market. And why do people not list? Sometimes people for their privacy, they don't want to sell, they don't want people coming in and out. Sometimes you just on the corridors and you hear your neighbors are fighting, or then these ones are divorcing soon. They're desperate to sell. Let me talk to them quickly. You know, because they're like, hey, I just want to sell this thing. The quicker the better. And then when now you're just like, okay, can I please just make an offer for 500,000? And they're like, I sign. Because they're fighting, right? Sometimes you find that maybe there was a crime scene. Somebody died in that house. They want to get rid of it ASAP. And when now you are in the right place at the right time and you want to buy that house, they want to wait and see maybe they'll get the price that they want. They're desperate, right? So where else do you find it? Your network. Put it out there. Hey guys on Facebook, I'm interested in buying properties in this area. If you know anybody who's selling, please let me know. You put it out there. You know, your own networks. Caretakers are also good sources. Security guards. Security guards, body corporate trustees, they know that people are not paying their levies. You know, you've got accountants and attorneys who deal with divorces and death. And if you've got anyone in your network who's an attorney who deals with these things, speak to them. If any of your clients want to sell your properties, please let me know. I'm a property investor. Right? The other thing is you can also set up your own sources. You can create your own website. It's very easy nowadays to create a website. You can do marketplace. There's even private sellers. On Gumtree, I once bought a property on OLX the other day when OLX was still there. It was COVID. I was sitting scrolling. I'm seeing somebody selling a property. I'm like, okay, tell me more. And because I had tools to be able to verify if I'm speaking to the right owner, you know, and all of those things, I was actually able to buy that property from that person who had listed it on OLX, which is like Gumtree, right? So it's very much possible that you find. Sometimes people don't want to deal with agents for whatever reason. And so they look at these off-market opportunities or unlisted. You have to put your ear to the ground. You have to look opportunities because everybody is on these common platforms. Everybody is there. So you may be lucky and score a deal, but you also need to look at unconventional places because that's where you might be able to find opportunity. And one of those, for example, being on EdProp, it's still a new platform.
Absolutely.
It's still a new platform. Not a lot of people know about it. So if you go in and you start searching on EdProp, it's got, you can put your listings there for an agent, or you can even look for rentals, you can list. It's got many functionality. The QR code is on the water bottle and also on the screen. So look for where people are not yet there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, an EdProp as a private investor, someone who has 2 properties right here, and you've got rooms. Oh, that's the other different thing about EdProp. You've got rooms. EdProp allows you to list your rooms. Room for 1,750 or for 4,000 or whatever, and there is no other place that you can list that way. If in the room we've got an electrician here or someone who does construction or is a painter, you can list up there as a service provider. You can do maintenance. People will find you there. If you are selling your house, you can list it yourself without an agent. You can do all sorts of things on EdProp. And when you go in there, if you look for our name, you can look under Pulaneo Properties, and there is a promo. But you can list for free for now. It's still free for now, right? Okay, cool. Are we?
Just click on, yeah, next, yeah.
Oh. Here's that English of structures. Let's talk about structures again. I know we are repeating. For some people who have heard us, we speak about structures all the time. I just spoke to Titus right next to me and said, him and I, I'm sure, have bought a property with our name. We are a structure, Titus. Nothing wrong with it. An individual is a structure. It is a juristic personality that can borrow, that can sell and buy a house and whatever. Nothing wrong with it if that's what you started with. So don't feel bad. And it can pay taxes. The only reason that we don't like it much is that it limits the number of properties you're going to expand. Pella, you and I are looking for 100 properties. We've agreed. Yeah, and we are looking for 100 million. So we go on to the next one. And this is our recommended one, the for-profit company. You can register a company on cipc.org today and call it Puma Properties, whatever you like, right? Whatever you like, Maria Properties, whatever you like, right? And you can register that for less than 1,000 rands, even if you do it yourself. You have to load up your documents and where you live or a proof of address and stuff. So you can own a property today. You can go and reserve 3 names of different companies already. Disuga and idutimole, you don't have money, you're not buying anything, you said you don't have a property. You can register a company, go prove it for yourself, and you have time to think up of fancy names and whatever, ABC Properties, and just leave it there so that somebody else doesn't go and take that name. Prop Doc Mum that you see on my socials is a reserved company that I don't trade in yet, but Prop Doc Mum, you can't become Prop Doc Mum because my name is reserved. It's sitting there. So you can have dormant companies that sit there. Yeah? So you register a non-profit company or a for-profit company. The NPO, NGOs are companies as well, and they can buy property. Trusts we've highlighted there because what happens, Hope and I know each other from medical school, this lady here. And what happens to doctors? Hope, have they sold you a trust yet, my friend? Not yet. Hey, I went to several property places and Gaspidi. Oh, because you're a doctor, you're going to have lots of money, and you know you want to preserve your wealth. Meanwhile, I only have 1 house. But you are going to accumulate wealth, and when you accumulate wealth, there you are snagged in, you buy a trust. When you buy a trust, by the time you realize, 2026, the accountant is at your door. You are maintaining a trust that has got 0 assets in it. you have a 6,000 rand bill that you have to pay, and you have to maintain this accountant and that accountant. They are trustees on your trust. You don't even understand what you're doing with the trust. And by the way, when you hear trust fund babies, necessarily the trust doesn't have money. Trust fund doesn't necessarily follow that it has money. Trust is there for preservation of wealth, and we use it a particular way. There are different types of trust. This seminar is not about that. I'm just warning you that don't go and then the next thing is, Titus, you have to have a trust, your wife must have a trust, and then you must have a joint family trust. Now you've got these structures that are sitting there that you are maintaining. And because we come from backgrounds that don't have undefined amounts of wealth, don't buy those things when you don't know what you're doing. Buy the for-profit company and start buying in the profit company. And we'll come to the trust and we'll introduce you to a specific estate planning accountant, because the accountant that's doing your business or your practice home or whatever, I can promise you that he knows nothing about property, and he doesn't, but he won't tell you that. He's going to speak a lot of English. So, and by the time you are done, you're like, yeah, sign here. Well, but, ne? So try to stay away from the trust until you understand what. So you can have a trust here, and the company has got 3 properties here, and the trust owns this company, and then we start distributing the wealth. But it's a whole lot of issues, and that's why. And like, oh, the law of conduit, and you know, your beneficiaries, by the time they're done, you're so tired, and the English has confused you, you think you need it. Necessarily not. Okay, that's a trust for you. Cooperatives and stokvels. Myself and Sli have started stokvels, and we've raised way beyond 25 million in a stokvel. Okay. Myself and Vangile started Property Magician Stokvel, and it had about 172 people in there. And you can buy a property as a stokvel. A little more difficult to navigate and to deal with. So you have to set up a trust, because you've got 172 people, and then each one must have a certificate. Titus put in 100,000, you put in 150,000, you put in 200,000. So you have a certificate that says you own shares that are equal to your 100,000, your 150, your 200. So it's a bit, it's a long story. But a stokvel, great for raising money. We can raise money today, 172,000. Everybody that pays in 100,000, we already are way beyond $1 million, and we can buy a property for cash, and we own, and we next we go. Expansion is a lot of things, and it can happen in many ways. Hybrid structures. Hybrid structures is what I just spoke to you about. We can own Sandton City ourselves. Sasol Pension Fund, Miranda with her little 50,000, you with your 10,000, we can all own it. That's how Sandton City and Cresta Center and Mall of Africa are owned. It's owned by a combination of companies. It's owned by a trust here, the family trust, Yako Taitasi, your company, Maria Prop, and it is owned by many. It's called a hybrid structure. So when people talk about structuring, do you know what we are talking about now? Let's go confused. Don't be confused. How about, yeah, and we're going to structure this deal, and Mina, that's what annoys me. When you don't tell me what you mean, we are going to structure this deal. Today we can structure a deal. Miranda's company and Slindile's company and our stokvel and Titus, we can buy a property. This individual brought in 100,000. My company brought in 500,000. Her company brought in 1 million. Maria's brought in 50,000. And all of us can own a property. But when we do it, we don't do it when we're eating mohodu, guys. It's properly registered by an attorney. There are proper agreements. This is how you're going to get paid out of this property. This is how Titus is going to exit. This is how Miranda is going to exit. And this is how we are going to dismantle the structure when we have to dismantle the structure. This is when we sell and decide to exit. If Titus Wangala today, or Titus, because his wife says, I'm getting divorced, I'm leaving, and whatever, Titus doesn't want to involve in it. That's why you register it with an attorney. You don't do things over coffee or when you go busy corner. That's not how it's done, guys. And Rona, because we are black people, we come into every agreement with, but get doctor, right? But Sli is so cute. She wouldn't.
Well, that's true.
Right? She's my friend. None hope we go back 30 years from medical school. Watch it. Watch it. Everything has to be done legally. Everything. When I go into business, when I am issuing shares to my niece or to my daughter, it's written in an agreement. I agreed on this date, we made a resolution on this date, and this company of the four of us, Maria Co, Sli Co, Miranda Co, and Titus, the individual, it's registered. We can even give it a name. It's called an SPV, Special Purpose Vehicle. It is properly registered. Mama, go stokfeleng when they are sitting together. No, these ladies, we go a long way, 30 years. You know, we buried in Konwagaye. You know, I was there when their little daughter, Onaling, Babizat Mutonaling 25, little daughter, Onaling 25, we know each other, we go back. That's the dangerous one. And then, you know, we are in the same church sodality together. Watch those. Please, legally. And then families as well. You know, no, and what. When things change, they are not going to tell you those things. You end up in court over silly things. And have we been involved in messy business relationships? We have. We have. They are in the background. You don't see them. So please enter into legal agreements. Okay. We're done with the structures. And there are tax benefits to this. The structure is the person that goes into the bank to go and borrow Kimang. Is it Samantha? Is it Miranda? Or is it Samantha Prop? That's one. But structuring Yago Bank, how are we going to structure your financing? If I'm going to borrow you 100,000, you are asking for 120,000 at the bank, and they're like, we want your skin in the game. And they say, you bring 10%. 10% of 120,000, then we will give you. That's the finance structuring. Structure say, who is the entity that's buying? Or who's the entity that's borrowing? So there are structures we are going to tell you. Commercial loans, for instance, if we want to buy a building Ekopilapara, because there are students that go UJ that we want. It's a commercial building. There are going to be 200 students. It's a commercial building. We go to a different door at the bank, and they are going to ask us for, if it's 6 million, they are going to ask for 20% money down. That means deposit, 20%, because in commercial buildings, they want to see if you've got your own skin in the game. Yeah, that's finance structuring.
And maybe if I can add another example of a finance structure that I've recently come across now. So we borrowed money for a student accommodation, right? So that student accommodation is going to start operating next year, but we need the loan because we want to take transfer this year. So how they've structured the loan, obviously we need to put money in because it's a commercial, is that the first 12 months we pay interest only because they don't want to charge, you know, like your repayment of the bond. When you pay it, it reduces the amount that you've borrowed and also interest, right? So when, let's say, for example, your repayment is 100 Rand. In most cases, 90 Rand goes to the interest and 10 Rand, you know, is the capital. But so how they've structured this particular one is a finance transaction is that they've said for the first 12 months, because you guys still need to do the refurbishments, furniture, chances are you're not going to be making any money for the first couple of months. So we're going to charge you interest only just for the first year.
Thanks.
And then from the 13th month, when you should be operational, you can then start paying the capital. So that's a finance structure, how they've structured that particular transaction. That's just another example.
So, and there's a reason for us for structuring. I told you, trust is for preserving wealth. When I put my assets into a trust, if I pass on, God forbid now, that means these ones that are inside of the trust, they are protected for a little while my estate is being dissolved and whatever, right? And it is for wealth preservation, because in the trust, there's a special write-up that we do, a testament to say, when I die, this property must never be sold until my Neo is 30 years old. This property must be sold when she's 25. It's almost like you are writing, you are talking from the grave. Things can never be shifted unless, and no one can sell it. Even the aunt who loves her very much, why is your mom used to be so good to me? Let's help you sell what? They can't touch it. It's protected by the trust. So trust is for that. Tax benefit, let's talk about it, because some of us own a business. When I'm here and I earn the salary that I earn, I pay 42% tax. That bracket, yeah, 42%. By the time it gets into my bank account, it's all gone to SARS. But when I have got a company here and I earn the same amount of money at work, let's say 80,000, I earn 80,000 from my property here. I pay the car, I pay the Wi-Fi, I pay for the MacBook, I pay for, from the beginning, you pay 28% tax. Much less, much less. That's number one. But if I pay the car, the Wi-Fi, the whatever, by the end of it, my accountant makes sure that even the lights, even the pen that I buy, or I take you to dinner or something like that, it's all paid for in this company. By the end of it, you can pay some 10%, 5%, 8% of tax. That's why a company is important. Companies pay 28% tax. Why do you think Pick n Pay has got Pick n Pays all over the place? It is a tax efficient way of paying tax. We are not avoiding. Pick n Pay makes 100 million, but it's got 17 employees. The salary is counted. It's like out of the profit, they're like, you've paid salaries, tick. You've paid diesel for the generator because there's load shedding, tick. You have stocked up more Omo and Surf, tick. By the end of it, they pay no tax. So, why is Christopher so as rich as he is? He sets up companies. He opens another Checkers and another Checkers. When he's cash flush, when he's got lots and lots of money, he buys another business because the businesses pay less tax. Did anyone tell you, go Mukodu, go busy corner? Never, never. Nobody will tell you that. But for you to pay less tax, you own to be in a PTY limited. From the get-go, if you make an extra 20,000, buy the airtime, pay the Wi-Fi, buy the phone from there, buy the what, and the clever accountant that's doing your books knows that when it is a property, so there are things that are called allowable expenses. Allowable expenses in the tax law. Of course, I can't go and buy the chocolate, their property, and think I can save tax. In my personal person, I'm paying my salary, I'm getting my salary, and it's taxed at 42%. Nothing I can do about that. Pay as you earn. But I've got a company here, and the company has got a property that cash flows 27,000. By rule, 27,000, 28% of that 27,000 must go to the taxman. But cleverly, what do we do here? City of Joburg is paid from the 27,000 in here so that we reduce the amount of tax, because otherwise, if Selby has got a salary here in PTY Limited, property here. That money must come in here so that the accountant is able to account. So don't be afraid of it. It's very easy for an accountant. Thank God I don't have to be my accountant. Don't avoid tax. First and foremost, don't avoid to be taxed. My thing is, don't avoid. Yeah. So I'm not, no, you are going to pay little Kamo PTY Limited, I would. And I pay as you earn, you have no chance. Forget about it, because employer has to declare, I pay Selby 50,000 and you get a pay as you earn tax certificate, they see it. Forget about that. It stands here. Forget about it. But when you set up a business here, this business, if it makes money, this is where you reduce how much tax goes to the SARS. On that company. The company must make money, this property must make money, and that's why you must buy a property that makes money, so that we can show you how. But your salary, guys, please don't even try those things. Yeah, you know, it's a less headache. Here you go, you pay yourself a salary, this company is making money, pay yourself lightly 10,000. Pay yourself, and it's consistent. It makes you palatable to the banks. Something happens there, palatable to the banks. They want a case. They want a pay slip. They like a pay slip, a consistent, and don't do it sometimes, this quarter, next quarter, no, every month. It doesn't matter if you've paid yourself and then spent here. It doesn't matter if you can borrow it back to them, but there must be a pay slip and a money that's going to your personal account. How to 5,000, let's just talk about it. So let's say practically you have got a property in only 3 rooms, and you've got tenants in the 3 rooms. They are paying you 2,000 each. You've made 6,000. You've made 6,000. Let's say it's your even personal house. So you've got tenants, say 3, 2,000 each. You've made 6,000. Yeah. And it's in your backyard. Got 6,000. Pay City of Joburg from it. Get the expense the company. Get the expense the company. Pay the expenses from the rental money. Now your salary, you have unencumbered. You've got an extra 6,000 that you don't have to. So pay City of Joburg from here, buy the airtime from here, put petrol from the 6,000.
And here's the other thing as well, by freeing up some of your expenses and running them off your PTY, is that all of a sudden your disposable income, meaning the income that's left, is bigger, which means what? You qualify for more.
For more.
In the salary.
In your salary. So now you've got your company, which already, by the fact that you're buying in a company, already it predisposes you to qualify for more. But now when you also free up your salary, instead of qualifying for $1 million, you may now qualify for 1.5 million. And if you do your things right and you structure your things right, see what we put there, 10x. If you right now qualify for 1.5 million and you buy it in your name, that's it. You put it in an entity, you can qualify for, what's 1.5 times 10?
Over. Get 10 million.
And the more you can increase your salary, the more you can even increase by numerous multiples. And at some point, while you are still, now you're earning more income, you're buying more properties, there's even going to be a less and lesser reliance on your own salary. So in the beginning, when you're starting out, the banks want somebody to go after because they don't have enough in the new company. So they look to you as a director, say, okay, if the company doesn't pay, I'll be with you now. Then I'll go after Slindile because she earns X amount of money, she can afford to pay. But as your company grows and your revenue grows, your salary and your affordability goes down over time, right? Yeah. And now all of a sudden, how do you think these people buy these multiple buildings? Do you think it's their own salary that can afford it?
They can't. There's no way with my salary, I don't care how rich you think I am, I can buy a 10 million rent building. There's no way right now. With my salary, I won't qualify for 10 million building. But in a company, I can. I can open a company today, Lucy. Today. Come Monday or Tuesday, it's already registered. It's got a CK number. And buy in it, isoka iena anything. I promise you, I tell you, but the agent is going to tell you you can't. So, why did I say to Hope, if you've got a practice, pay yourself a salary? The bank, when it sees new company buying, okay, they're like, who are the directors? They go and find the director. They're like, oh, director has got a consistent salary of 50,000. You tell them that you don't rig anybody. You don't have to. They look at the director.
I think that with Hope it's a bit delusional.
No, it doesn't matter. When as an employee, they are going to look at your salary and your expenses and everything. They look at the director when you are buying for the first time from zero. Yeah? We have registered a company before. Inali CK number fela and bought ka Tuesday because we needed to sign the offer to purchase with Sli. We got together and we're like, this is a special vehicle company. The CK number, CIPC has already given us the CK number. This is who is buying. At the back of the offer to purchase, it says who are the directors. Slindile Lisinyani, Miranda Moloto, here are the addresses. And they go and look. Where are your bank statements? What's going on in your bank statements? So they look at the director when your company is new. Before it acquires a name, believe it. They do look at your personal bank statements. They do. They do look at the director. They want the person. Where do we go if our money is not there? That's why we say don't quit the job. Don't quit that job. Oh, okay. So we spoke about the goal and the sort of property and the potential of that property. It is the potential of the business you're buying in. That's why you don't buy an apartment in Midrand. But they ask you, what are you going to do with the property? Let's say you are buying a student accommodation.
A new company.
We're talking about a new company. If you're buying a residential home, they obviously are not going to give you. But if the company is buying into a building that has got potential of income, they go and look, what are you going to do? What's the purpose of the company? Oh, I'm buying a 10-roomed house in Westin. It already has NSFAS accreditation. It's been generating so much rental. So you've asked the seller and they've submitted the rent roll. They're like, yeah, it's a business. You are a business. You are buying a business. Okay, we're going to get our money, but here's the person we're going to go after if we don't get our money.
So unfortunately, if you can't afford, even if you're buying in a company, the bank is not going to give you the loan. And ultimately, because they're looking at your affordability, they're looking at your credit profile. If any of those things are not up to standard, you're not going to get the money. So in that instance, you become realistic with your situation. You say, okay, maybe I've got bad credit. Maybe I don't have enough affordability. What do I do? It means, especially the things that they look after are your debts, right? Reduce your debts. Find a way of earning additional income. Find a co-director who earns more so that you can qualify together. That's the other alternative.
Look at your credit score and look at the things that you are doing. Close everything that's a personal loan. Personal loans are your worst. Account Yako Truets is even better. Account Yako Vodacom is even better. Close the personal loan. That's a killer for your credit, for your credit.
When somebody borrows you money, it's a relationship of trust. And if everybody's going to say, trust me, I'll pay. Otherwise, they wouldn't give you the money. So the banks need something to determine whether your word is true. They can't just go on your word, right? And so what they then look to is how have you previously handled the responsibility of being borrowed money? You know, when you take the money, are you using all of it? Are you taking personal loans every month? Like, what's your story? Then when you've got your profile, then the banks are like, hey, this person, I might not get my money here, right? So the first thing is to look at your overall profile and say, what is wrong here, right? So the things that the banks don't want are consistent inquiries. You're always borrowing money, FNBs on you, Capitec, you name it, they're hitting your credit profile. It means that you don't have enough money. Whenever you need something, you need to go and apply for credit. It's symbolizing instability. You avoid that. Secondly, it's the type of credit you're taking on. If you're applying for a home loan, they understand you need a home to live in. It's not a big deal. But if you're taking personal loan, specifically these payday loans, the ones that pay you month end and then you need to pay them, those ones avoid like a plague if you can avoid it. So now let's say you are already in that position. What now do you need to do, right? Pay down your debt as much as possible. Stop new inquiries. Pay the debt that you've already got consistently and paid off, right? So that's how you can redeem yourself. But if you don't have any credit, try and find a way of having something that shows your consistency and that you can be relied upon. It can even be a cell phone contract, but they need to have an insurance. Whatever it is, it needs to show that you are consistent in your commitments, because otherwise they've got nothing to go on, right? Which then also leads us to property investment strategies. Now, let's say you want to invest in property and now you're like, no, my affordability is in a mess or my credit score is in a mess. It doesn't mean that that's the end for you. There are other things you can do. For example, the easiest would be to look at your passive investment strategies. There's listed products. You can get in there. Become a shareholder for the listed properties, your easy properties. You can invest shares. You can do a property stock file where you don't have to have your own affordability. Your credit profile doesn't necessarily matter, depending obviously how your property stock file is structured, right? The other thing could be you collaborate with others. You say, okay, I can go and find properties. I'm good with people. I can network with agents. I can bring the deals, and somebody brings their affordability and their credit profile to the table, and therefore you are in business. You can do what we call a rent-to-rent, as an example. A rent-to-rent is where you rent from one, and then you rent to somebody else, as long as you've got the landlord's permission. So if you can't buy because you don't have affordability, your credit score is bad, it doesn't mean that's the end for you. There are other options that you can get into. In terms of strategies, there are many. There are more than 15 strategies, passive and active strategies. But what the active one means is that now you are actually involved. You know, you're buying the property, you're looking after the tenants, you're looking after the maintenance, which you may outsource to others if you want, right? So there are many strategies. Some are entry level and some are a little bit more advanced, depending on, and also it depends on what you're passionate about, because there are some people who will not do Airbnb even if they are paid. There are some people who just like, ooh, student accommodation, don't tell me. Those students, you know. Me, I'm like, bring me students. They are my favorite kind of tenant. You know, I love them. So give me students, because the parents are going to pay the rent, or NSFAS is going to pay, because no parent wants their child out on the street. So they tend to pay. And also, eviction laws don't apply to students. Don't say I told you. Because the reason why you battle to evict normal tenants is that they have to have a place to stay. And it is your responsibility as a landlord to provide or to convince the court that that person has somewhere else to go. A student has a home. If you evict them, they go home. Therefore, you can evict them. Which is why I love students as tenants.